we are going to have a panel now. We're going to welcome back Andrea and Dr. Bloom, but we also have a couple of favorites here. We have Dr. Jingwon Yang, welcome back, and also my co-founder Gabe Hoffman. So this is the SuperCoach Panel. I'll give you some mics. All right, so think about what you want to ask in the panel here. I'm going to start with you, Dr. Young, because Dr. Young and I were hanging out in San Antonio a couple weeks ago at Matt's conference, and I asked him about how any practitioners can work together to do integrative medicine, and what you said really struck a chord with me, and so I'd love for you to start by sharing that.
Well, first of all, we have to understand what do we mean when we say integrative medicine. And definitely for me, it doesn't mean we have a medical buffet, that we have everything, nutritionist, acupuncturist, massage therapist, so on and so forth. Because we don't want people to think what their practice can fix everything. And therefore, it is critical for me to have a very clear concept of what integrative medicine is. To me, it is that medical model we recognize human beings exist at least at 4 levels. The first is structure, the second is biochemistry, the third is bioenergy. Of course, number 4 is our souls. So therefore, as a doctor, we really, no matter what problem brought patient in front of us, and we have to think at 4 levels simultaneously and assessing them, then find what would be most appropriate modality to address that person at a given time. So I always say you don't have to be nutritionist, acupuncturist, neurologist, psychiatrist, to practice integrative medicine. You can be just like my friend, Dr. Todd Albert, who is the president of the special surgery here, and he's just the best orthopedic surgeon. But besides giving people surgery, he sent them to nutritionists, to acupuncturists, and to psychotherapists. To me, he is practicing a wonderful integrative medicine. So that's what I meant, is that you don't have to know everything, but as long as you have this clear model in your head, and then you can put a team together, either within your practice or around your practice, and you can practice the best integrative medicine.
Doc, how do you do that practically? Because there's a lot of ego that can get stuck in the way, and I know you've worked with a lot of interdisciplinary teams. What's the pathway to getting to a point where doctors look to the benefit of the patient beyond their own benefit?
I think it all goes back our really kind of humble recognition that every level is so distinctively different. At a dimension, at a paradigm of structure, it has its own rules. It has its own ways to diagnose, treat, assess patient. So therefore, not only surgeons, they're wonderful specialists, and they're doing a great job when the situation requires them. But also, you need chiropractor. You have people practicing craniosacral therapy. You have people do massage therapy, tular therapy. They all addressed more mild, subtle structural problems. And then you have this biochemical level. Of course, on the one extreme is all these medical doctors practicing pharmaceutical medicine, okay? And at times, you need pharmaceutical medicine, but there's a whole spectrum biochemistry from nutrition to toxicity to epigenetics and so lifestyle, so on and so forth. So therefore, you need all those knowledge and specialists to work on your team. The most difficult part is the energetic level. They're so important. We're alive, we're functioning. It's because of the energy we have. The energy we talk about in Chinese medicine as a qi is like the air to the world, like electricity to your car. I mean, without knowing, understanding the energetic physiology, anatomy, and pathophysiology, and diagnostic tools and treatment, I mean, we are missing a big pieces in treating a live person. So therefore, that's very important, of course. To say the last but not least, soul levels. We can't treat people's souls. That's beyond doctors. But we can share. We can understand. We're fellow human beings. We're vulnerable to everything our patients vulnerable to. And we're on the same journey to search for spiritual enlightenment, energetic eternity. I mean, that's really the meaning and the purpose for life why we're here. So therefore, to treat patients as equal, to treat patients as a fellow human being, and trying to relate at that level is critical for me, I have to be very humble to do that, because I'm not necessarily doing a better job than my patients when it comes to many situations.
Thank you for sharing that. It's a great point. Yeah, hands like that. And if this is your first time interacting with Dr. Young, go back to our YouTube channel and watch him answer how to explain acupuncture in 2 minutes. It'll blow your mind. Dr. Bloom, we've had a question here from Twitter about actually leading an interdisciplinary team. I know you have a lot of different practitioners there. What are some of the skill sets that are really designed what are the skill sets that you've learned to lead that sort of team?
Well, I actually, it's on. Okay, there we go. Well, I've come to really appreciate the importance of team and community. I long to have community, so I built one around myself. It was my own sort of selfish desire to want to have community where I work. And so the way that I run the team, but I'll call it run or I lead the team, I see myself 12 of us. And for 2 hours, and we started out by checking in. And if anybody's ever gone to the Center for Mind-Body Medicine training, has anyone here ever done any of the Jim Gordon's training? So I'm on faculty with the Center for Mind-Body Medicine, and Jim's really my greatest mentor, really, in my life. And we check in, just like we do with the Center for Mind-Body Medicine. Everyone goes around and checks in, what's going on now, how you doing? And we connect. And I know what's going on in everybody's life because we talk about what's coming up right now for us, and it keeps everybody mindful. And then we go into the agenda. But every week, we had a staff meeting. Now we do it twice a month. We drop back to every other week because everyone's like, we're so busy. Do we have to meet every week? And I'm like, yes. So for me, team leadership was about making sure that we had time as a team to connect. And I think I could probably end there. But I built into the structure of the center the ways for me to be present, for me to teach. We have a medical meeting. I have a nurse practitioner, another doctor, and a nutritionist full-time. And every Wednesday for an hour and a half, we have a medical meeting. And we present our patients. We just talk about any issues. We talk about supplements, protocols, what's coming up. If somebody needs me, I try to be very available to be the team leader. You know, and I see myself as a team leader. It's not a top-down. It's very much democratic. And it's not so much top-down, but I am, just like I described being a facilitator for my patients, I'm a facilitator for my group. I see my whole staff as sort of a group, and I'm sort of facilitating our journey together. I set sort of we together set the goals and mission and vision. So I don't want to go on too much longer than that if there's any more questions, but it's really worked. I mean, we're 5 years in, and you know, it's crazy busy, but we're all in it together, you know, and it's really nice.
You know, building community around your practice
Yes.
is exactly the model that we're talking about
Yes.
here. If every practitioner would build that community, and if you want to know how to do that, that was my 22-minute rant last episode. And I did a 60-minute rant at Matt's conference, which we'll be putting up soon because we videoed it. Gabe, we just came off a series of podcasts that you and I hosted called The Future of Patient Compliance. You know, for those people who haven't listened to it, I know we really talked about this sort of the synergy of doctors, coaches, and technology to be able to create this new super coaching environment. What did you get out of that you thought was most profound?
Yeah, I mean, that was a really fun series to do. And, you know, an interesting piece of it was that, you know, we spoke with Matt, we spoke with Andrea, we spoke with HealthWave. And what you see is that a technology is not always, you know, accessing a computer. You know, a technology is a technique. It's a way of speaking. It's a way of holding people accountable. It's a way of, sometimes it is a software, but what I really enjoyed about that was, you know, all of them were technologies, but they were all different. They weren't all just made from a computer, and they all really were about building relationship and empowerment, and, you know, that's what we've been talking about from the beginning.
How important do you think the technology piece is in sort of scaling this out?
Well, I think it's the only way it's going to happen. So, in order to scale it, we have to scale ourselves, and ultimately, that it's not possible for one person to help everyone. So, whether it's the way we're going to talk to people or the types of, actual software that can help us engage differently, or the communities we're building online, this is the only way we can really scale medicine.
Andrea, we've had a few interesting tweets. There are some big fans of your and Dr. Bloom's hair, actually. Curly hair is apparently in. Well, they were saying there was good curly hair, but I thought they were definitely talking about you and not me. Andrea, they're asking here about self-care. You work with a lot of practitioners. Obviously, one of the things that we've tried to communicate here at the Functional Forum is what is unsustainable is practitioners being so crazy in their practice that they can't actually live the life that they're recommending to patients. What kind of self-care do you recommend? Because I know you're working with a lot of different providers all the time.
Do I recommend for them?
For them, yeah, for those who seek to serve.
I'm a huge fan of unique self-medicine, functional medicine, so we all have very different needs, and I'm hoping that when I teach my students that they're learning for themselves as well, and I think that's often the case. People are learning and adapting and taking things on that they try themselves, and then they see how it works for others. I know Matt and I have a friend in common, a doctor, a gastroenterologist who I befriended at another conference, and he became a student of mine. He went through the digestive intensive. He, as a gastroenterologist, healed his reflux by what he learned in my digestive intensive, and now has brought me in to work with his patients as well. So I think that when we're learning, when we're out there gaining and gathering information, we should all be applying what we're learning to ourselves, practicing what we preach, really taking care of ourselves so that we can be that whole self to encourage our clients and patients to come into their wholeness.
Absolutely. Dr. Bloom?
Well, I just want to add to that because it's very easy, especially there's not that many of us out there practicing functional medicine, and I'm sure you can attest to how busy the practice is, Kelly, as well as other people in the room. And so I think it's really important that we build our practice in a way that's compassionate for ourselves, and that's one of the leadership things that I provide for my staff, so that we don't we have an hour for lunch every day. Nobody has to work. Wednesday afternoons are off, so I don't expect, there's 30 hours a week of clinical that goes into the schedule, and that's it out of a 40-hour week. People can make their own schedules. You have to really build the practice in a way that you can sustain it, because if we are going to get overwhelmed, just like Andrew, what you were saying about how sick people are, we're getting the sickest people. I'm getting people from all over the world now coming because I wrote a book, and so they all find you, and they're the sickest people. And so therefore my front desk are all health coaches. They're all trained, even the people that answer the phone, because people need that compassion. And I work with my staff at the front and talk to them, what do you need? How hard is that for you to listen every day to the people who are calling, and you have to tell them they're on a waiting list, or you can't, it breaks their heart, the people who are answering the phone. Everyone needs help and support in the coaching and in their own self-care. And so everybody gets lunch breaks, everybody gets time away from the desk. Like you have to take care of yourself, and you have to take care of your people, because this work is very, very hard. And so it's something I call preventive scheduling. We all know when we book a day that's going to kill, that, and I don't like to say kill us because it's not a good thing. We all know when we create a really stressful day for ourselves, and we have a choice. So you have to choose to not add that last person into your schedule on that day and have them come another day.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrea, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to add thank you for saying that. And I think some of the advice I get when I'm talking about scalability is that we shouldn't work with these people. I call them the big bigs, the people who have big health issues, and they've already made a big, big effort. They've been everywhere. They're on the perfect diet. They're taking all the right supplements and medications, all the right ones. So I think my call to action is for all of us to find the way to have a sustainable lifestyle and still serve the big bigs, because there are more and more and more of them. So I love what Dr. Bloom said, and I think we do need to find a way to take care of ourselves, but also to serve this growing population that's seeking us out and lining up at our doors. We too have an enormous wait list, and it's hard to turn the people away, but we have to take care of ourselves and serve this population.
We have some questions in the audience here. We've got one over there at the back. I'll come over here. Dr. Young, just while you're answering this, why do we need to have a TCM provider in any one of these interdisciplinary teams?
Well, TCM, of course, representing traditional Chinese medicine. Some people think traditional Chinese medicine today is not really traditional. And so I tend to what I talk about Chinese medicine is a classic Chinese medicine. Well, why? I think whoever created Chinese medicine, I'm almost 100% sure, was not people who lived in China 5,000 years ago, 7,000 years ago. They barely had anything to eat or wear. And that go to developing such a complicated, sophisticated, and complete medical system, particularly at energetic level, even beyond the technology we have today. To see things, you really have to be able to see things at a quantum level to see that. So therefore, this energetic understanding, insights of human life and human health and human illness, put Chinese medicine, classic Chinese medicine, in a very, very unique position to address what I call bioenergy level of the human body. So therefore, when you practice what I call integrative medicine, and this bioenergy level is the level that the Chinese medicine fit in to, and it does it the best. I'm not saying they don't address biochemistry or structure, they do, but I think the uniqueness of that is the energetic understanding and intervention of human life. And also Chinese medicine almost laid the foundation for people to move up to another level, which is spiritual level. Because Chinese medicine teach you so much about lifestyle, so much about how you think, how you live your life. They repetitively mention the words called de, which is a virtue. And they repetitively mention how people can ascend the life, become, really spiritual being, how human being and the universe are kind of unified. And it implies in many ways the knowledge of Chinese medicine coming from the divine. So that's my understanding why it is such a treasure and that we have. And so we can take advantage of it now before we develop the technology to see all the quantum energy ourselves, which may not too far away.
Without sounding as a devil's advocate, looking at your integrative healthcare system, which of course are based on the principles of Carl Rogers, cognitive and behavioral therapy, and the Brazilian humanistic educator Paulo Freire, how is this to be implemented on a national level when A, the United States healthcare system is the most expensive, there are 100 million people in the United States who are not insured, underinsured, thirdly, the fact that the United States ranks 34 out of the 191 member states to the United Nations, and very important, when a small minority of white males within the AMA vastly oppose national health care, and national health care has worked. And now with the attempts to normalize relations with Cuba, we're finding that Cuba, which has such a fabulous healthcare system, and there are 43 Americans studying in Cuba right now, free, and they're getting monies from the Cuban government. I know it's a mouthful, but as I said, I'm very interested, and certainly as someone who has practiced integrative medicine multilingually and multiculturally, I agree, but I feel that the biggest obstacle is our very expensive healthcare system, which has alienated over 100 million people. Thank you.
Andrea? Have a crack at that.
I'll have a crack at that. I think this is where the super coaches really come in. I think that doctors can see more people, and coaches who don't need to be paid in the same way at this point as the medical professional does, can be holding a place for more people to be seen, for creating communities to come into that self-care model. What I see, the transformation I see in the group programs I lead, where people are learning about their own hormones, learning about their own, managing their own blood sugar, really is transformational health. And I think that, it's a big question you have. I don't have the solution, but I do think that the super coaches are part of the solution to get health out there that we're talking about to the masses in a bigger way.
Yeah, and I would just say that's sort of what this meeting and the functional forum is all about. I mean, you're going to hear from Matt in a little bit, and we're looking to piece together a way to help this medicine evolve. And all the the obstacles you mentioned are there, and yet, and James has quoted this many times, it's about creating a system that makes the old one obsolete. It's not about going up against the old one or changing the old one. It's about creating a new system, and that's what we're really excited to do here. And Andrea is referencing a part of it. You'll hear Matt reference a part of it, and it's going to take all of us working together as a community, but it can be done. It's been done before in different areas of the world, and in different challenges, different things that seem like they couldn't change. And I'm confident, and all the stuff James and I saw in Austin, Texas, would leave you even more confident if you were there with us. And so, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to it, and I think if you just pay attention to what we've presented, and also if you share with us your ideas as a community, I think that's how we get together. It's just coming together as a group, having these types of conversations, and going from there.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm not going to ask the question. I'm going to stand here and talk to all of you because I think, it's not easy to be smug about this, but I really feel like we've got a better chance of organizing an answer to that with what we're seeing now. Like, I'm here on my phone looking at all the people tweeting. There are groups all over the country getting together, groups of practitioners, the Amen Clinic up in Boston, all over the country getting groups of practitioners together. And we've seen on this show innovators like Dr. Robin Berzin, who's built a functional medicine program that costs $150 a month, where they can actually, that is accessible. What you're about to hear from Matt, some of the work that we're doing with that. The real value and how we solve this problem, we can't just scale up the medicine that we have now. The biggest asset that's available to all of us that is being completely underused right now is peer-to-peer support. Peer-to-peer support has to be the answer to it because there's not enough doctors to go around. And in the systems that we're working on, we can see how coaches and doctors can work together, and then how patients who have got well and have come through the process can actually add value to other patients to be mentors for them. That's really the untapped resource. And the UK has single payer, and yet they're going bankrupt too for medicine. No, there aren't enough medical resources to go around to solve chronic disease under the current state. It has to be root cause resolution medicine. And one thing I would also say is that in the last 3 forums, we've really focused on practice management stuff. We had root cause resolution with Kelly and Peter right here. We had a whole session on community in medicine last month, and we had stuff about super coaches today. These are not the most popular topics. When we did cancer, we had 10,000 doctors watch it. When we had microbiome, we've had 8,000 watch it. But the reason why we're doing it, one, we know we've got unbelievable clinical stuff coming in the next 2 months, so watch out. But 2, because this is the real thing, like no more clinical medicine understanding is really going to solve the problem. It's about people learning to work together to be able to solve these problems dynamically. And I really feel like the structure that we're developing, we saw some things at IFM. There is a technology arriving that is going to now allow every functional medicine doctor to do their functional medicine matrix online in a digital format and track the outcomes of every practitioner and every patient within that system. When we have that sort of technology, it's going to prove that functional medicine works better in the short term and the long term, and it's going to show the outcomes, and then the payers, the business, like I think America is in a really great position because businesses are paying for healthcare and businesses know how to cut costs. And when functional medicine proves itself as a much better way of managing and reversing chronic disease, that's going to accelerate the evolution of medicine. And those forces just don't happen in the UK because you have a centralized government healthcare system. So cautiously optimistic is what I would say. So we're just gonna, we're gonna wrap up here with the panel, but I'd love for you all to give a big round of applause to everyone who's participated.
Thanks so much for watching, and for more great clips like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I've created a special free video just for you. It's called the 5 Steps to Becoming a Leader in Your Wellness Community, and it'll give you some of the starting points on how to position yourself as the leader in your zip code of your health community. All you have to do is click on the link below.